Hey, what is going on, everybody, and welcome. Let me just jump right in and ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're just going through the motions? Like you're stuck on autopilot, basically a background character in the movie of your own life? Well, what if I told you that you could grab the steering wheel right now and become the hero of your own story?
Today, we are diving deep into the game-changing ideas from John R. Miles's book, Struck Passion. His whole argument is that most of us are caught in what he calls the autopilot trap, and it's this state of just reacting to life instead of consciously, deliberately creating it. So consider this your official wake-up call to break free.
And hey, speaking of breaking free, if you are ready to stop living an accidental life and start building an intentional one, do me a huge favor right now. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and make sure you ring that little notification bell. It's such a small click for you, but it's a massive signal that you are ready for a real change.
Okay, let's get into the good stuff. Here is our roadmap, our game plan for today. Think of it as a 6-part journey to completely reclaim your life. First, we're going to identify the trap we're all in. Then, we'll build your personal toolkit, find your true direction, learn how to adapt and defend your energy, face down your inner demons, and finally, turn that brand new perspective into real-world, tangible action. Let's do this.
So first things first, we have to understand the enemy. Miles makes this incredible point that our biggest fear shouldn't be about failing. It should be about getting to the end of our lives absolutely filled with the regret of unlived potential. And guess where that regret is born? You got it. It's born right inside the autopilot trap.
So what in the world is autopilot living? Well, it's when your days are just a long series of reactions. You wake up, you follow the exact same routine, you react to emails, you meet other people's expectations, and you do it all with ever stopping to ask the big questions. It's comfortable, for sure, but that comfort leads to what Miles calls an accidental life, one that just kind of happens to you, instead of a deliberate life that you actively build on purpose.
Okay, so how do we escape this thing? Well, this is where it gets exciting. Miles gives us this foundational toolkit that he calls the Trinity of Power. And these are the 3 absolutely essential forces you need to harness to start building that deliberate, purposeful life you want.
The very first force is passion. Now, we're not talking about just a casual interest or a hobby. No. Passion is your deep, internal why. It is the core reason you get out of bed in the morning. It's the fundamental energy source that is going to fuel your entire journey. Without passion, you're basically a car with no gas. You can be pointed in the right direction, but you are not going anywhere.
Okay, next up is perseverance. So if passion is the fuel, perseverance is the engine that just keeps on going, especially when the road gets rough. And this isn't about being stubborn. It's about being strategically resilient. It's that ability to learn from failure, to adapt your path, but to never, ever give up on your destination. It is literally the bridge between your vision and your reality.
And the final critical piece of this trinity is intentionality. This one is huge. Intentionality is your compass and your steering wheel, all in one. It's the conscious, deliberate choice to say yes to the things that align with your mission and, just as importantly, to say a firm no to all the distractions that don't. This is how you live an aware, focused life.
And this is really where the magic happens, when you bring it all together. Check this out. These 3 forces, they're not a buffet where you can just pick and choose what you like. They are a system that works together. I mean, think about it. Passion without perseverance, that's when you get super excited about 1,000 different things, but you quit as soon as it gets a little bit hard. And perseverance without passion, that's how you end up absolutely miserable, grinding away in a job you hate just for a paycheck. And what about having both passion and perseverance but no intentionality? That's like having a race car with a full tank of gas but no map. You'll burn a ton of fuel going incredibly fast in totally the wrong direction. You need all 3. It's non-negotiable.
Okay, so you've got your Trinity of Power. You've got the fuel, you've got the engine, and you've got the compass. So now what? Well, you need a destination. And this is where Miles introduces this amazing idea of becoming a mission angler. You have to actively hunt for your personal North Star. It's not something that's just going to wash up on shore. You have to get out there and actively fish for it.
And this slide right here illustrates such a key distinction. A mission is not the same thing as a goal. A goal is a target you can actually hit, right? Like launching a podcast. But a mission is the timeless why behind that goal. It's your reason for being. Your goals can and will change over time, but your mission is that constant guiding light that informs all of your goals.
So how do you find this mission? Well, Miles lays out a super simple 3-step process. First, you've got to look inward and identify your unique strengths and talents.
What are you naturally good at? Second, you connect with your core values. What are the principles that you will not compromise on no matter what? And third, you combine that potential and those values into a short, powerful mission statement that's going to act as your decision-making filter for pretty much everything you do from now on.
Now, here's the thing. Having a mission isn't the finish line, it's the starting gun. The journey from this point on requires two things: being incredibly adaptable and being fiercely protective of your energy. You have to be ready to evolve while at the same time defending yourself from all the constant distractions trying to pull you off course.
First up, you have to become what Miles calls a brand reinventor. In a world that is changing so fast, your skills and even your identity just can't stay static. What made you successful yesterday might not work tomorrow. He even warns against something he calls talent extinction, and that's the danger of becoming totally irrelevant because you are too afraid to evolve beyond your past successes.
Now, let's talk about defense. Miles uses this brilliant metaphor: the mosquito. They're tiny, they're annoying, and when they swarm, they are totally draining. The first type you need to audit are what he calls relational mosquitoes. You know who these are. These are the people in your life who just drain your energy. The constant complainers, the doubters, the energy vampires who literally feed on your focus and your passion.
The second type are habitual mosquitoes. Now these are the small, negative habits that sabotage your progress, bit by bit. Think about mindless social media scrolling for hours, hitting the snooze button one too many times, or that constant low-grade stress that comes from just being disorganized. Each one is just a small bite, but together they can drain you completely.
And finally, and these might be the most dangerous of all, are the mental mosquitoes. These are the internal enemies, that nagging inner critic in your head telling you you're not good enough, the habit of replaying past failures over and over, and that paralyzing perfectionism that prevents you from ever even starting. You have to learn to swat these things away.
This brings us to the ultimate challenge. After you've cleared out all the external and internal mosquitoes, you have to face the final boss. And that battle, as Miles frames it, is always, always within.
Man, this is such a powerful idea, right? Your biggest competitor isn't the person with more funding or more talent or more luck. It's that voice inside your own head. It's the version of you that listens to fear and chooses the safe, comfortable path instead of the meaningful one. Winning at life means winning this internal battle first.
So how do you fight it? Miles gives us this brilliant tool called the worst-case scenario exercise. You don't run from fear, you confront it with cold, hard data. First, you define exactly what you're afraid of. Get super specific. Second, spell out the absolute worst case, but realistic outcome. What would actually happen? And third, you create a concrete plan to recover if that worst case actually happens. This process completely defangs the fear, turning some terrifying monster in your head into a manageable problem with a solution. All right, once you've learned to manage your fear, the final stage of this whole mindset transformation is all about mastering your reality. It's about learning to control your perspective and, most importantly, translating all this wisdom into concrete, real-world action.
Miles points out a super common trap: situational myopia. It's when we're in the middle of a crisis, our vision just narrows, and the problem feels all-consuming and permanent. Harnessing perspective is the ability to mentally step back, to zoom out, and to see the problem for what it really is, just a single moment in a much larger journey. And this allows you to reframe those challenges into opportunities. And all of this leads to the final crucial principle: becoming an action creator. The whole goal here is to close that gap between what you know you should do and what you actually do. This is the law of imperfect progress. You have to let go of the need to be perfect and just take that first, messy, imperfect step, because imperfect action will always, always, always beat perfect inaction. Don't go anywhere. The rest of the powerful insights are coming right up.
You ever feel that? That little gap between the person you know you are deep down and what you actually do day to day? When your actions just don't quite match up with your core values? Well, in this explainer, we are diving into 5 incredibly powerful principles from John R. Miles' book, Passion Struck. These are designed to help you close that gap for good and really turn who you are on the inside into real, tangible impact on the outside. So, here's our game plan. This is the roadmap we're going to follow to build a more impactful life. We're starting with the absolute bedrock of everything: finding your authentic core. Once we nail that down, we'll learn how to build a fortress around it. Then, we'll unleash that power to inspire others, lead with a totally revolutionary gardener's touch, and finally, lock in a laser-like focus on what actually matters. Seriously, this is going to be a game changer, so let's jump right in. All right, first things first, what does it really mean to be authentic? So often we think it means being rigid, never changing your mind. But that's not it at all. True authenticity is about having this incredibly strong sense of who you are and what you stand for. But, and this is so important, also being flexible enough to change your strategy. Think about it like a giant oak tree. It's got these deep, unshakable roots, right? That's your core. But the branches, they can bend and sway with the wind so they don't snap.
And that leads us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Are you being authentic, or are you just being plain stubborn? It is such a fine line, and it's way too easy to cross it. See, when you're being stubborn, you get so locked into being right that you just shut down. You close yourself off to new information, different points of view, and your impact, it just shrinks, because the only people you can reach are the ones who already agree with you. But true authenticity, that's about being open, being willing to change your tactics if it gets you closer to your mission. Let's break this down. Think of your why, your big mission in life, as your final destination. And your how? Well, that's just the car you're driving to get there. Now, imagine you're driving to the beach and you hit a massive, unexpected roadblock. A stubborn person would just sit there revving the engine, insisting on going straight through the wall because, well, that's the way they planned. But an authentic person, they just say, okay, new plan, and find a different route. They're loyal to the destination, not the specific road. And this leads us to this brilliant mental model called the hard core and soft shell. Your hard core, that's the stuff that is completely non-negotiable. It's your mission, your core values, your identity. It never, ever changes. But your soft shell, that's all your strategies, the way you communicate, your methods. That part is always evolving. So maybe your hard core is to be a deeply compassionate leader. That's set in stone. Your soft shell is how you show it. Maybe you adjust your feedback style for different team members, but that core value of compassion is the engine driving every single action.
So how do you actually use this every day? It's pretty straightforward. First, before any big decision, just ask yourself one simple question. Does this violate my core? Second, be a sponge for feedback that helps you improve your methods, your soft shell. But you have to build a shield against feedback that attacks your mission. And third, please have the courage to be different. The world has enough copycats. It needs you.
Okay, so you've got this crystal clear idea of who you are. Fantastic. But now you have to protect it. It's time to build a fortress around that authentic core. And that is where our second principle comes in, what's called the magnifier boundary. This is all about carving out the space you absolutely need to do your best work and guarding your energy from all the stuff that just drains you.
This quote, man, it just hits you right in the gut, but it's so incredibly true. Sticking to what you know is right, to your mission, sometimes means you have to walk that path by yourself. It means saying no to things, to opportunities, to people, to requests that don't line up with your values. And yeah, sometimes that means disappointing people you care about. It's not easy, but it is absolutely essential if you want to stay true to yourself.
So what exactly is a magnifier boundary? The best way to think about it is like a bouncer at a really exclusive club. Now, the bouncer's job isn't to be a jerk, right? Their job is to protect the vibe inside, to make sure only the right people get in. Your boundaries do the exact same thing. They're there to protect your most valuable resources, your time and your energy, from all the people and tasks that will just suck you dry, so you can save all that good stuff for what really truly matters. Building these is kind of like a three-step dance. First up is discovery. You have to figure out where the leaks are. The best clue? Pay attention to those moments you feel resentful or angry. That feeling is a giant flashing red light telling you a boundary has been crossed. Step 2 is communication. You have to state your boundary clearly but respectfully. Let people know what you need and why. And then step 3, the final and hardest part, is enforcement. You have to consistently uphold that line, especially when people test it. Because if you don't, it's not really a boundary, is it? It's just a suggestion.
All right, so you've built this strong foundation. Your authentic core is safe and sound. Now it's time to let that light shine and share it with the world. This brings us to our third principle, becoming an outward inspirer. This is all about making your actions speak so loud that your words are just a bonus, and in doing so, inspiring other people to step up and become their best selves too.
This phrase says it all. This is the absolute golden rule of inspiration. You have to walk the talk. It is not nearly enough to just tell people what to do, you have to show them. Think about it. Your daily actions are like a giant billboard advertising your values. And trust me, people are always watching. So if you want to inspire compassion in others, you have to be more compassionate. You want to inspire courage? Well, then you have to be more courageous yourself. Now, when your actions and your values are in perfect sync, you achieve this amazing state that psychologists call cognitive alignment. It's like when the wheels on your car are perfectly balanced. The car isn't pulling you left or right, it's just gliding smoothly down the road. That's exactly how it feels. You're not fighting yourself anymore, you're just being you. And that kind of consistency, it's magnetic. People are drawn to it because they know they can trust it.
So how do you get there? How do you get into that powerful state of alignment? First, you have to get brutally honest and develop zero tolerance for the habits in your own life that clash with your mission. Second, ask yourself this little question every single day. If the person I admire most was watching me right now, would I be proud of what they're seeing? And third, and this is a big one, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Share the struggle, not just the highlight reel. That's what makes you real, and that's what will truly inspire other people.
So now that you're a master at leading yourself, it's time to talk about leading other people. And I want you to forget everything you think you know about that old-school, top-down command and control style of leadership. We're talking about something totally different, something way more powerful. We're talking about becoming a gardener leader.
Let me put it this way. A traditional leader is kind of like a sculptor. They're trying to chip away and force a piece of marble into their personal vision of what it should be. But a gardener leader, they're like a farmer. They plant a seed, and then they pour all their energy into creating the perfect conditions for that seed to grow. The best soil, the right amount of water and sun. A farmer can't force the seed to grow, but they can give it everything it needs to flourish all on its own.
See the difference?
This phrase perfectly captures the delicate balance of being a gardener leader. You have to be totally present, aware, and engaged. That's the eyes-on part. But at the same time, you have to resist that powerful urge to jump in and do the work for them. You have to give your team the space to figure things out. That's the hands-off. It's a lot like being a great parent, right? You're always there to guide and support your kids, but you know you have to let them scrape their knees and learn from their own mistakes.
So what does a gardener leader actually do all day? Well, first, they're constantly pulling the weeds. You know, all the pointless bureaucracy, the toxic attitudes, the silly rules that are choking the team's growth. Second, they provide the team with the resources they need and, even more importantly, the trust to get the job done. And third, they create an environment where it's safe to fail, where mistakes aren't punished, but are seen as the tuition costs you have to pay for innovation.
Okay, we've done the heavy lifting. You've defined your core, you've built your boundaries, you've learned to lead like a gardener. But how do you sustain it all? How do you keep that momentum going day after day? Well, that's where our final principle comes in, becoming a conscious engager. This is all about mastering your focus in a world that is, let's be honest, literally designed to distract you at every turn.
This one question separates almost everyone. Are you just busy, or are you actually being productive? Oh man, it is so easy to be busy. You can spend all day clearing your inbox, hopping from one Zoom meeting to the next, and feel like you're accomplishing a ton. But at the end of the day, did you actually move the needle on your most important goals? That is the huge difference between frantic activity and real productivity.
You know that feeling when you're juggling a million things at once and it feels like you're just spinning your wheels, not getting anywhere? That's because you're not. Science shows multitasking is a myth. What you're really doing is context switching. And every single time you jump from one task to another, your brain pays a little penalty. It's like trying to fill up a bucket that has a giant hole in the bottom. You can keep pouring water in, but it is never ever going to get full.
So how do you finally plug that hole in your bucket? You use something called the 1-3-5 principle. It is such a simple but unbelievably powerful way to focus your day. Every morning, you just pick one main goal, the single most important thing you have to do. Then 3 medium-sized tasks that support that goal. And finally, 5 smaller things that just need to get done. That's it. That's your entire to-do list. Everything else is just noise that can wait.
And this, right here, this is your secret weapon against the never-ending assault of distractions. You have to define your sacred hours. These are completely non-negotiable, unbreakable blocks of time in your calendar where you turn off your phone, you close your email tab, you shut the door, and you do nothing but deep, focused work. Let me be clear, this is not a luxury. In today's world, it's an absolute necessity if you want to create anything of real value.
Because when it all comes down to it, success isn't about how much you do. It's about the focused value of what you choose to do. So my question for you is this: knowing that your attention is your most precious asset, where are you going to unapologetically invest it tomorrow? The choice is all yours. And hey, don't you go anywhere. We've got so many more powerful insights just like this coming right up.
All right, let's dive right in. What we're breaking down today is this incredible master plan for getting off autopilot and, really building a life with intention. Think of it like a modern-day hero's journey.
But instead of slaying dragons, we're conquering that one thing that holds so many of us back, just going through the motions.
And this is where it all starts. This one question is your call to adventure. It's that little voice, that feeling you get deep down that the day-to-day grind, even if it's comfortable, just isn't cutting it anymore. It's the moment you look around and realize, okay, this isn't enough. You know you have to make a choice to change.
And these moments, the author has a great name for them: transition points. You can think of them like these crucial gateways on your path. And they're not these neat, perfectly timed steps. No, they're the pivotal, sometimes kind of messy moments where you consciously say, okay, it's time to level up.
So what does this journey actually look like? I mean, how do you get from feeling stuck on autopilot to living a life that feels genuinely, well, passion-struck? Luckily, the source material gives us a super clear roadmap. It's broken down into 5 key milestones that really guide the whole transformation.
Okay, so this right here, this is the entire progression. And it's not just a random list, it's a sequence. It starts with a crisis, that wake-up call. Then it moves through the hard part, the struggle. And that forces you to literally rebuild who you are, learn new skills, and finally, you arrive at a totally new way of living. Let's see how it all kicks off with that first major challenge.
Right, so the first real part of any quest is always the inner battle. We're not talking about external stuff just yet. This is all about what's going on inside your own head. This is where you have to face those really tough challenges and start to forge a completely new sense of self from the ashes of your old one. Now, acceptance of suffering sounds pretty intense, doesn't it? But it's not about embracing random pain. Not at all. It's the deliberate choice to accept that real, meaningful change has a price. And that price is hard work, it's discomfort, and it's sacrifice. It's about understanding that all the good stuff, all the growth, happens just outside your comfort zone.
And this slide, wow, this illustrates the most profound shift in the entire journey. It's moving from trying to being. The old way of talking to yourself is, I'm trying to be more focused. It's an attempt, right? But the new reconstructed identity declares, I am a focused, intentional person. This isn't just playing with words. It's a deep, fundamental change in your core beliefs that locks in your new direction.
Every good quest has rules, right? A set of unchangeable laws that you just can't ignore. Well, your journey is no different. The author calls this the physics of progress. These unavoidable, universal laws you absolutely have to master if you want to succeed.
I mean, this explains everything, doesn't it? That initial push to just get started, to get off the couch, to write that first sentence, it takes a huge amount of energy to overcome that inertia. But once you're moving, even just a little bit, the energy it takes to keep moving is so much less. And that is why consistency becomes your absolute superpower.
Ah, friction. It's the universal enemy of all momentum. And it's everywhere. It comes from inside your head, fear, self-doubt, and from the outside world, like your phone buzzing or a messy desk. The secret isn't to wish for a world with no friction. The key is to become an engineer of your own life, to find those points of resistance and figure out how to reduce them.
And this quote just drives the whole point home. This is the big takeaway. Your progress, your success, it's not about luck. It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike you like lightning. It's about systematically working with these fundamental forces day after day.
Okay, now this is where the real magic happens. This law is basically a guarantee that your small, seemingly tiny efforts you make today, reading just 10 pages, meditating for 5 minutes, they aren't just adding up. Oh no, they are multiplying. They're building on each other to create these massive breakthroughs down the road.
Just look at this. This chart shows it perfectly. That tiny little daily action is the first bar. After a month, yeah, you see some real progress. But after a full year of that same daily action, it's a total explosion of growth. That's what happens when your consistency gets to hang out with time. We get this backwards all the time. We think we need to feel motivated so that we can act. But the physics of progress tells us it's the exact opposite. Action creates motivation. You take one tiny step, your brain gets a little hit of reward, and that generates the energy to take the next step. It's a self-fueling cycle you can kickstart at any time.
So once you understand these unchangeable laws, the hero of the story, that's you, gets the ultimate tool. This is the master key. It's a simple but incredibly powerful model for balancing the two forces you need to succeed: big picture vision and on-the-ground execution.
So the question is, are you a bee or a turtle? The bee is the visionary, the strategist, flying high and seeing the whole map. The turtle, on the other hand, is the executor, moving step by step, slow, steady, and just relentless. But here's the secret. To achieve anything great, you can't be one or the other. You have to be both. That's the core paradox. You need to be the dreamer and the doer all at once.
And this table just ties it all together beautifully. It shows how all the stuff we've already talked about are really just different flavors of either high-level bee energy or ground-level turtle energy. Setting the big mission? That's the bee. Taking that very first step? Total turtle move. Seeing the big picture is the bee, and swatting away those tiny mosquito distractions? That's the turtle. It all connects.
I mean, come on, this sentence just nails it, right? It perfectly captures why you need both. A vision without action is just a daydream. You have all these amazing ideas, but you're going nowhere. But action without a vision, that's a nightmare. You're working your tail off, but you're sprinting as fast as you can in the totally wrong direction.
And so, this whole hero's journey we've just walked through, the map, the rules, the master model, it's now yours to live. The call to adventure has been answered. You understand the inner battle, and now you have the tools for mastery right in your hands. The rest? Well, the rest is up to you.
So here it is, all in one place. This is your complete toolkit. You've got the 5 milestones. That's your map to know where you are on the journey. You've got the physics of progress. Those are the rules of the game. And you have the bee and turtle effect. That's your operating system for balancing your biggest vision with what you need to do today.
Seriously, thank you so much for diving deep into this whole framework with me. It has been incredible to explore all this, and I really hope that walking through this gives you the tools you need to build your own life of purpose step by step.
And I've got a question for you. I'm genuinely curious. Right now in your life, which energy do you need more of? Is it time to fly high and dream bigger like the bee? Or is it time to put your head down and just take that next small, relentless step like the turtle? Drop a comment below and tell us which one you're focusing on right now.
Until next time, remember, those laws of progress are always working. So keep that momentum going, one small action at a time. You've absolutely got this.